Hi Forest fans, Max Newton here on Talk Forest TV. Hit that like, comment and subscribe button. Let us know what you think. Giving you a preview of Nottingham Forest away at Fulham in what is setting up to be a big game and a big 2 or 3 games for the club. It's a funny thing, the internet, isn't it? It gives any old idiot who can set up a camera on his phone in his house the ability to put their stupid opinions out onto the internet. Here's mine. There's a lot of people just seem to like live from one game to the next in terms of what they think about any football team. And I expect it from Dave from Bulwell and Steve from Colic and Arthur from Carlton Hill, but you get it from idiots on Match of the Day, on Talk Sport, definitely from the Nottingham Evening Post and Nottingham Live, where you see one game and they say, oh, this team will stay up if they play like this. Well, you know what? They won't play like that for the rest of the season. That's the point. Only the top 3 or 4 sides have any level of consistency in this league. Or they say, a performance that was really poor. I say, well, on this evidence, they're going down. And, it's just ridiculous. And, the Everton game was a really, really poor game. It was poor. And I didn't boo, but, we've all been at Forest games in the past where, there's a bit of an outpouring of boos at the end of the game. It doesn't mean we hate the club. It doesn't mean we hate the manager. But the problem is that, you give Dave from Bulwell the opportunity to say what, in the pub, he'd be saying that with his mates in the Trent Navy, and they'll all be telling him he's stupid and putting him right. But he says it on Twitter or on Facebook, and he meets up with, gets connected with all the other idiots that are saying the same thing. The Everton game was really, really poor. And don't get me wrong, I'm worried about our league position, I'm worried about our form, and I'm worried about the way that we play. However, Everton game was not another example of us of not being on the front foot. It was not another example of us playing negative football. The previous 2 games, we'd scored 2 goals. We started out absolutely on the front foot in the 3 previous games beforehand. Even the Everton game, we started out trying to play on the front foot. We scored goals. We were very unlucky to be on the wrong end of a 3-2 thriller at West Ham, and we could easily have come away with a 3-3 draw at home to Brighton, who, don't forget, people are saying are the bee's knees. So I think there's a lot of daftness, and people saying, oh, Fulham, Luton seem to have relegated us by conceding 4 goals at home and losing to Arsenal. Yeah, they scored 3. Don't forget, 2 of them are absolute howlers from the goalkeeper. So they've always been beaten 4-1. Ridiculous. And also, Everton game, if we'd, goals change games. If we'd have been given that penalty on Ryan Yates, talking a different thing. So there's a lot of nonsense going around. People need to check themselves before they wreck themselves, and frankly get behind the team. And that's what we need to do tonight, and away at Wolves and at home to Spurs. And you know what? Teams that, if we were saying at the start of the season, our ambition is to finish mid-table, teams that finish mid-table have bad runs. Teams that finish mid-table lose 4 or 5 on the bounce. Teams that finish mid-table flirt with higher up, and they absolutely flirt with relegation. That's what happens. Very, very rarely does a team that finishes mid-table stay nice and calm mid-table throughout the season. And you know what? We had absolutely dog mess games under Brian Clough and got beat 1-0 that were a lot worse than that Everton game. And we didn't talk about sacking the manager. And finally, on this matter, Steve Cooper has probably been the manager of any club owned by Marinakis longer than any other manager. I mean, he sacks managers with regularity. If we get rid of Cooper, we open the floodgates for that to happen again, to go back to the Fawaz years, and we'll be on 3 managers a year, because we sure as hell won't be giving any other manager grace and time that Steve Cooper's deserved for what he's done to this football club and for this city. So on to the game. It's a tough game. Fulham are great, have got some great players, as does every side in the Premier League, and that's what we have to remember, that every team has good players and every team can do damage, even Sheffield United. Well, apart from Sheffield United. Fortunately, they've got several of those good players out, including Adama Traore, but there's still real danger players like Willian and Kenny, who is a Forest fan, but he's a good player. So they've got good players all over the pitch. They try and play a nice, attractive, possession-based game of football, and I think that will suit us. Rather than being dragged down to to dice ball, that's very reminiscent of being dragged down to levels of Wimbledon in the 80s. We can play on the front foot, we can keep possession, we can play some nice football. I would still go with Chris Wood up front, but I think it's really important to try and get Morgan Gibbs-White into the middle, even though he's created chances playing out wide, and goals playing out wide. I would favour a midfield three of. I still think Sangare is a good player. I think he wasn't well for the Everton game and was very, very poor. But Sangare, Mangala, and Morgan Gibbs-White in the middle. Elanga on the left. Elanga is creating lots of opportunities and creating lots of goals and scoring goals. I think he gets sometimes a bad rep because he's our most attacking player, and sometimes when it doesn't come off, people are slating him. But he's creating goals, fact. I'd go for Callum Hudson-Odoi on the right, and hopefully Niakate is back. Niakate, Murillo, Aina, and Harry Toffolo. I think I'm a bit concerned that Serge Aurier is not quite up to levels that he was last season. He's already made a couple of mistakes or odd decisions that I think have cost us goals. Against Everton, where he stood like a statue, also right in front of the keeper rather than trying to close down, and very much against Luton Town. So I'm going to predict a cheeky 1-0 win for the Forest. And frankly, I don't care how we play. We could just do with shithousing some points, to be frank. And then I'd go the same against Wolves. And then come back to the City ground, where hopefully the DJ, we're not singing hang the DJ, because he's absolutely cocked up Mull of Kintyre. So come on, let's get behind Steve Cooper, get behind the boys. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Wasn't meant to be easy, but we can do this. Come on, you Reds.